good. I'm Gayatri S. Iyer, your host for today. A hearty welcome to all of you to the first track, which is probably relevant to all of us, which is on fashion, design, and technology. Our moderator for this session, I'm pleased to welcome her, Ms. Asha Sridhar. She is a marketing professional with 30 plus years of overall experience in leading design and brand teams to marketing brands and delivering strong customer centric experience at the ground level in textile and apparel business domain. She has worked with consumer insights to develop brands, conceptualized and designed design studios, resource and experience centers for various businesses. These places act as collaborative space for learning and idea creation. Working with people is her passion, and building lasting partnerships comes naturally to her. She works together with teams to define a vision that will improve customer experience based on business objectives. Resilient, empathetic, and methodical are her superpowers. Her objective is to lead teams and make the positive impact in today's customer centric world. A hearty welcome to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Gayatri. Thank you.
To join our leading lady in our today's discussion, allow me to introduce you all to our panelists. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Bharati Dasan, who's Digital Project Manager at Coats PLC.
Hello,
Up
hi
next,
everyone.
Up next, we have Dr. Yatindra Lakna, who's chairperson of Fashion and Lifestyle Accessories in National Institute of Fashion and Technology.
Hello, namaskar.
And next, we have Ms. Nisha, Digital Associate from Arvind Fashion Limited, who will be joining us shortly. And finally, we have Ms. Haitishi Dwarkanath, who's a student from JD Institute of Fashion Technology.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here.
We can't wait to hear the insights you all have to provide to us. Ms. Asha Sridhar, ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, Gayatri, and good morning to everyone, and welcome to our session on fashion design and technology. It would have been great if we could have seen you guys face to face, but I feel the energy in this room. But I guess change is inevitable, and this pandemic has kind of rebooted all of us, the entire world, in one shot, giving us no warning, giving us no choice. So here we are today in this virtual space, which we all knew will happen someday, but I believed it will never happen in my time. So big challenge for people of my generation, but not a big challenge for you, Gen Y and Gen Z. So here we are, a very robust digital audience who thinks very, very differently. You are not ready to toe the line of routine. You always like to ensure that there is some spark in every day, unlike us who kind of, just towed the line with routines. You always think out of the box, which is fantastic. I've worked with a lot of teams in the past couple of years, and it's been a great learning for me to see the way you guys think and the way you all come out with fantastic ideas. And questioning, you will always question and not stop till either you're convinced or you will hold on to your views and ensure that you convince the others. I found the youth extremely mature in terms of education, in terms of relationships. When I talk about relationships, I mean inter and intra relationships within the organization, outside the organization. It's been wonderful interacting with all of you. And what I did find was super clarity in your thinking process, especially with regards to topics like gender bias, body shaming, racism, which is fantastic. I mean, at this time, we are so glad that all of you are coming forward and, you know, bringing out your views. And of course, open to helping social causes. So definitely India is moving ahead and we can see the change, and each one of you are leading the change. So here we have our youth and entering the fashion and technology industry with a fantastic mindset. So as an industry, we need to also shift not only industry, but institutions. We need to also shift gears and embrace this change and ensure there's a smooth transition from the individual into the institution into the industry. So with that, I open up this discussion and invite our industry panelist, Mr. Bhartidasan, to give us his point of view on talent gaps, impact of technology in this industry, need for soft skills, and workplace preparation. So over to you, Bharti, and let's get on with this session.
Thank you, madam. Thanks a lot. Hope my voice is clear. It's audible to all of you. If one of you can confirm. Yeah?
Yeah,
Good.
Bharti, we
Okay.
can
Thank
hear
you. Right. Good morning to everyone, and I welcome you all for this session. And it's a great pleasure to talk to you all in this morning. From a student's perspective, what all you need to know about fashion technology, the fashion industry, how currently it works, what we need to do to get things better in future, looking at the current situation, what are the new opportunities, what kind of skill sets we can have, right? And if education needs to be a factor here which decides everything, what kind of education we need to have. I mean, how the fashion education should be modified or altered according to the current situation, right? These are some of the areas that I thought about, and I would like to share a few points with you all. Let's start with what we need to do better, right? Overall as an industry or as individuals in apparel industry, to be good in future, right? There are many points here. Of course, people who are in the industry, they keep talking about certain factors for a very long time. I mean, these are known to everybody, but still, as students, when you are new to this particular field, it's good to know about it. So let me start with some of the basics which are very well known to everyone, right? See, Indian apparel industry is a huge industry, and we have been meeting the demands of the global market in a significant percentage, right? So that's a big industry, right? So what are the challenges we have in our industry today? Productivity, that's an important factor. Of course, it's applicable for every industry, and even in apparel it is important. So we need to have higher productivity, which reduces the cost, right? India as a market, we are a multi-product manufacturing market. I mean, you talk about China makes more of big volumes, standard styles, not very high fashion products. I mean, they do it, but not in a big way. But in India, we accommodate all kind of products, right? That's the strength of our country. So when it talks about multi-product, multi-style product, productivity becomes a question, right? So if I'm going to produce a standard shirt continuously throughout my year, my productivity improves because I know the skills, I know the best practice. But when I keep changing my product, when I keep changing my style, fashion, then it's not helping to improve the productivity. So that's one big challenge, right? So how do we improve this? We work on industrial engineering, we work on work study, method study. These are some of the practices that we have to adopt, and this will help to improve the productivity and lower the cost. And the second one is the lead times, right? Lead times are very, very important. Traditionally we used to have seasons, and these seasons are big seasons. 6 months becomes one season. So I start the design today, my product will be shipped after 6 months. That was a kind of comfort we had in lead time in the past, but today it is no more. We are talking about every month as a season for some of the brands, right? So that way we need to be very fast and quick, right? That's more important. Then use of technology from design to manufacturing. Earlier it used to be a hand-drawn pattern, right? If I have to make a design, I make it with my hand. But today we have got softwares for designing. From design stage even to the manufacturing stage, we have got robotic manufacturing today, right? There are robots, which cuts the pattern, which sews the garment. We have got automation and machines, right? So that kind of technology needs to be adopted better. And one important thing for our future, it's about sustainable products. The entire world is talking about sustainable products. All the top brands are talking about it. So we need to be prepared to make these kind of products. I work for Coats. Just to give you an example, at Coats, we have set a target for next 2 to 3 years time that 60% of our products supplied to apparel industry should be a recycled product, right? We make threads, and these threads should be coming from the PET jars, the recycled PET jars, right? So that's how all these responsible companies are looking at, and we need to be, prepared for that. Another important area, availability of raw materials within our country, right? To quote you an example, during this pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic, there was a huge demand for PPE, and all the manufacturers were ready to make it, but unfortunately, we did not have enough raw material. I mean, that was a big challenge, right? So that way, the technical products, synthetics, these are some of the products which are in scarcity in India, and we depend on other countries. I mean, China is a big market for us to supply. So this kind of dependency may not help in long run. So we need to have this kind of setup, right? And finally, it's about the design, right? Traditionally, again, India was not a designing market, right? It was more of a manufacturing market, particularly for exports industry. I mean, we have got many global brands sourcing from India, and all these brands used to give their own design. As a country, we did not make too much of, designs. So we get the patterns, we get the designs, we just reproduce it and ship it. That is how it was. But now the trend has really changed in the recent past, which gives a good scope for the fashion design students. And that was made possible through our domestic market. Now we have got big retailers in India. India domestic consumption is huge. Like we talk about many retail stores today. So with all this growth, there is a big opportunity, good opportunity for the fashion design students, and this is improving. I'm told still there is a scope, but we have traveled a lot. There is a good amount of design job availability in India, or design jobs happening in India, right? So these are some of the areas that we can do better to get it right in near future. Then probably I can talk to you about some of the skill sets that we need to have, right? From a student's perspective, yeah, technical knowledge on products, that is very important. I mean, a fashion designer who's going to design a product, it's not only a design element in the garment, it's about the technicalities in it, right? I talk about different styling features in a garment. I talk about different seams. Uh, and technical connectivity to this design element is important. For example, I mean, I'm talking about a seam in my shirt, which runs from my bottom hem to my sleeve cuff, right? So this particular seam is supposed to take a lot of stretch in it, okay? So from a design perspective, probably I can apply a, aesthetic stitch, aesthetic thread. It gives a good look, but in this particular area, right, what is the functional requirement? It has to be the stretch, right? So for a good stretch, what kind of thread can be applied? What kind of backing material can be applied there? Or in a stretchy fabric, how the same behavior is going to be. I'm just trying to give you some example. So that way it becomes important for every designer to adopt the technical skills in the product. I mean, that is something that I feel it's lagging today. Of course, we have got NIFT professor here and people from industry. Uh, Technical parameters are considered to be a different area from the fashion department area. I mean, this is one common feedback that the industry experts they keep giving, or the brands they keep giving. So there should be a strong connectivity between these two. I need to know the technicalities, then only I'm able to make a better design. It's not only the design alone, right? So it starts from fiber basics. I mean, I need to know what is a fiber, what is a fabric, what is a yarn, what is dyeing, what is dye stuff, etc., etc. Then I'm able to give a final design which has got a lot of technical elements in it, right? So that's one skill set that we need to have. Of course, you all know for a fashion design what should be the basic skill. It's a hand drawing. From hand drawing, we moved into 2D softwares to create designs. Now we are talking about 3D softwares. I mean, we have got softwares like Optitex or Browseware. These are softwares which gives a 3D effect in our design, right? This becomes particularly important today when we don't have, face-to-face interaction in our apparel supply chain. People are not meeting each other. They are not traveling to places. So everything is happening through the virtual media. So in those cases, I mean, all these software applications are very high. So we need to have this kind of skills. It's good to learn about all these products, CAD, computer aided design, right? Uh, then, brands are talking about virtual reality today as an alternative to the physical reality. I'm not able to go to a mall. I'm not able to try a garment on my body. So what do I do, right? So I use these kind of, software applications to see my fit, to see the design, to get a feel, right? So this is one improving area, and our skill set improvement in this area can definitely give us a lot of opportunities, right? I'm trying to buy a specs from an online shopping platform, right? So I take my photograph, try to fix the specs on my face, look at it in different angles and take a call, right? So these kind of logics are applied even in apparel purchase now, online purchase. So that's one good area. And all these online stores are talking about artificial intelligence today, right? The AI concept. Um, so I have been purchasing my products through online. So there is a database which is getting developed. So based on my purchase behavior or my taste, so the system starts giving me recommendations. Last time you bought this, why don't you buy this, right? So it comes in the way of my taste, and these are AI related improvements the industry is looking for. And this is one area that we can work. Web page design, which is a good area because everyone is moving into online platform, right? So these are some of the areas that we can look at. And even the basic skills, MS Office, that may not be a very relevant subject during our fashion education. I mean, which I felt, right? Without MS Office, your basic Excel sheets or PPTs, these are, basics, but still these are used to a great extent in the industry when you start working, right? And digital marketing is another important area. Digital marketing skills. I mean, today we talk about Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, emailers. A lot of marketing activity happens through this, and we have got a lot of education as well in digital marketing side. These are some scopeful area, right? So these are some of the skill sets which can give us job opportunities to look at. And coming to the education, of course, we have got very good educational institutes like NIFT, etc., and we have got good curriculums. So what kind of improvements or what is required more, right? From an industry perspective, see, students are coming out with the basic knowledge, but that is not the only thing which is going to help them, right? What we study is different from what we do it at work, right? So that way the industrial exposure is important, the practical knowledge is important. So we need to have a industry oriented education, right? Of course the institutes are trying to provide their best, but still, I mean, someone getting into a apparel company starting the work, uh, in my personal opinion, I mean, one should not have that confidence that I know everything, this is how it has to be done, right? So there is a lot of scope for learning. The working environment is completely different from our educational environment. So, I mean, that industrial exposure is important, right? A lot of industrial visits or, guest lectures from these kind of industrial professionals. These can help a lot, right? And even in the syllabus, probably, that might be required to have a constant update. I mean, we refer to textbooks which are old. Of course, those are useful informations. I'm not saying no, but what is the updated information? Probably, that kind of curriculum should be given to the students. That's one observation they can make. I keep talking to the students from NFT, and we keep giving projects and all in our company. So that is one area for improvement I can suggest. On top of everything, I mean, I would suggest the students to go for self-learning. Today, everything is available everywhere. It's not like the olden days, right? YouTube is the best learning platform. You get into YouTube, it teaches you each and everything in the world, right? So always there is a scope for self-improvement. I would suggest you all to take that as well. And one last point, to the fashion institutes. Apart from the textbook knowledge, right, there should be a syllabus which gives you an idea about the global brands, how they work. That exposure, I think it is missing. I mean, when I study the subject, but when I start my work, the very first thing that I'm going to do is which buyer I'm going to handle. It could be Gap, it could be Tommy, it could be, A&F or whatever, right? So there is a requirement for a strong exposure to the global brand environment. I mean, what are the brands available in different markets? Who are big, who are low? What is the product range? What is the price range? I mean, so this is where I'm going to work tomorrow as a student today. So this exposure will definitely help them a lot, right? So that is one thing that I wanted to highlight. And there was also a question to me to talk about, which is a better choice for present and future, taking up a job or being self-employed. This is a very, very tricky question to answer. It depends on the context. I mean, what we want to have. Both are having their own advantages and disadvantages. And I would like to highlight one particular point here. In today's environment, there is a huge pressure on companies to reduce the cost. I mean, the cost reduction, it comes in all aspects. And one is about the employee reduction, which is happening during this pandemic situation. So I foresee the work environment is going to be completely different, and this could be a permanent practice as well in future. No dependency on the workplaces. I'm working from home today. I'm talking to you from my home, and I have been working from home for quite some time, right? And it's possible to work from anywhere. And this might create job opportunities in a different pattern. I mean, freelance jobs might come up in a big manner. Part-time jobs can come. Project-based jobs can come, right? So probably this can give you a scope to do both. I mean, I do a job, I also do my personal business, right? So that way there is a possibility. So I definitely see a good scope here. I mean, apparel industry is all about traveling, meeting people, talking, presenting, right? Today, the industry is without any travel for the employees. No one is going from one place to another place. Everything is happening in a virtual manner, right? So, I mean, these are some of the job opportunities that can come up. That's what I feel, right? Uh, so I think these are some of the points that I had to talk to you all. If there are any questions, probably we can discuss further. Madam, is that okay? Can I
Thank
return
you,
back to you? Yeah,
Bharti Dasan. But before we go into questions, I
yeah,
would like to hear Dr. Yatindra's point of view
of course,
from
yeah,
an institutional point of view. What does he feel?
yeah.
I
So
would
over
get
to you,
into,
Doctor.
yeah, I would get into the basics. What we are talking, the topic what we are talking is fashion, and fashion is something which is very dynamic. It cannot be constant. It cannot be something which is going to be like a standstill water. And it also depends on place to place. And now people are saying we are getting disrupted from our daily lives. Our lifestyles have changed. People have the thinking pattern in the people have changed. There is this COVID. Maybe that is one of those trigger points, and this has made to recalibrate several things. Even in terms of buying capacity, buying preferences, what do they want and what do they not want. Entire thing is getting recalibrated, and fashion is also changing, and this is disrupting everyday lives. And this disruption should be an opportunity, and only people who can sense the challenges can survive in this pandemic disruption. And every disruption is an opportunity. And fashion industry is also quite challenged. I just took one of the class yesterday, and we had a sustainable audit. One of the student, we just opened one of the students' cupboard, personal cupboard, and then we asked to do a self-assessment. The child had about 500 garments, about 800 pieces of accessories. Then we did a pie chart and says what is the absolute necessary, what are the ones which does have emotional values, like somebody has given it to them with some kind of an emotional value. About 60 to 65% she said, I don't want them, but I do have them. And the reason for buying them was because they had money, and then they wanted to buy certain things, and they wanted to show that they are also on par with somebody else in the society. That was the previous decade. But now the same child, the thinking pattern within the same person has changed. She says that I don't know what to do with this. And if it is alone in one person, how much does it happen for the entire country and entire world? So there's a lot of resources available. It is not that we don't have resources or we are depleting the resources. Resources are already existing, and people don't know what to do with that. And conventional jobs are gone, internships are gone, placements are gone, because the industry itself, they're not sure what is going to happen tomorrow. They don't know whether to recruit, whether to give an opportunity. And this is not just for one student. This has happened across all the disciplines. Now, it's an opportunity to reinvent. We don't know that the same jobs will come back, or the same jobs is going to even survive, or does exist or does not exist anymore. And orthodox industries, it used to take a lot of money to invest and then become an entrepreneur. But nowadays, that is not true. You don't need to have multi-million dollar to start up a company. All that you need, earlier days, to make yourself credible, we used to print letterheads and business stationaries and things like that. Aajkal wo zarurat nahi hai. You don't need all those stuff. All that you need is a couple of dollars of and then a website and a laptop. And you can design yourself, and then you can get it manufactured. There are hundreds, thousands of manufacturing industries who are wanting to do the business. One doesn't need to invest money into manufacturing. There are people who are already invested and they're waiting for making it for you. As a designer, the basic ingredient one must have is to translate the people's emotion into tangible formats. And emotions keep changing. Last decade, the emotions were more of happiness, more of spending. They just wanted to show off. They just wanted to travel around the world, and they wanted to be connected. They wanted to be solo travelers and then look into exotic places and things like that. But of course, the aspirations do remain, but the emotions have changed now. People are looking at more of luxury in terms of health, more of saying, more of connected through online spaces, more of connected through digital collaborations. And it is not just one person doing the business, a couple of them sitting together and doing the businesses. And for these kind of emotion and these kind of environment, what are the aspirations of people? One need to map that. And then once you have that map, you need to translate that into tangible formats. Well, what do people need? And there are new possibilities of coming out with business models or aggregation of businesses. Like I said, there are several resources available with people. How do you map that? Like every house in Bangalore, half of them have cars, but another half of them doesn't have car. How do you map that and aggregate and start a new business model out there? Or I buy a bridal garment, which I use it once in a lifetime, one day in a lifetime. The rest of the days is not used. Do you really want to invest? People have disconnected from owning houses, owning cars and things like that. So these are the challenges which are out there. How do you emerge out with a new business model? And you don't need to wait for conventional orthodox industries to come and employ you. You can create your own. You can create your own space, and the smart ones will always do. Earlier, the game was who memorized even the universities have been challenged. Earlier, the universities used to make you memorize certain things out of the textbooks and then do that. That is not relevant anymore. Colleges are will get washed away from the businesses if they still believe the old traditional methods. Earlier, you need to have physical space, about 10 acres of land and building and infrastructure and all faculty. And most of the faculty never had a skin in the game at all, and they used to teach entrepreneurship. Those things have changed. And you don't need a physical space or a 10 acres of land to become an educational institution who gives the best of them. There are online classes which are opening up who give you the best of the resources. There are videos which are already available. You don't need to memorize them. You just look into a YouTube, you know how to construct a shirt yourself. So these support systems are always there, but what is missing is that experiential part. What is missing is that facilitation, sitting with you and doing that with your multi sensors. All the sensors involved. How does one identify the material? Do you really require? If it is required, what is required? How do you translate that? What color aspirations are there? And regional based. You know, it is not the same blanket like China. You give a shirt and they make 1 million pieces. The whole advantage they had was the captive labor within them, whatever reasons they had the labor with them, and then they used to produce. But that cannot be repeated in Indian context because we don't have a captive labor. The moment you put 1,000 people, there is an agitation which starts and they will say, why should I work for you? And that doesn't work in African countries as well. So the new models have to be emerged out. Like it could be like do it yourself. You make your shirt and then we train you to do what is required. So everything is uncertain. We are also uncertain. Educational space are quite challenged unless we reinvent and then get these people understand what the business and the process of designing things itself. So it is not just giving the carrot, it's also the telling them or teaching them how to prepare a recipe out of that, which is completely unique and your own. And even students are also struggling. The just graduated ones are also struggling because they're one out of the million, lakh of people who graduated. They need to carve out their niche. They need to carve out their self-identity. And that identity should be based should be the basis for their new business which is going to open, and how different they are from the rest of the world, and how does one create that identity. All those things are relevant these days, and technologies are there. There are new technologies. Like the earlier days, we used to have a cable TV which was a monopoly industry that completely got disrupted because of the DTH technology can change the game, and these games are understood by the younger ones first, and the older ones to take some time to understand them. So there's an opportunity out there to use that technology, enable, whether it is fashion industry or any other product design industry also, it's okay. But challenges are there. The jobs are new ones. You don't need to look out for the old jobs. There are new jobs which are emerging out. One needs to be smart enough to spot those new jobs and get into the business. But tactileness and working with the tactile feeling and the multi-sensorial aspect is very relevant in these days. Yeah, universities are also getting changed and customized to them. The good ones, at least. Okay, madam, I think.
Thank you, Dr. Yatindra. That was quite an eye-opener, what you said. And I hope all the institutions now are reinventing how they plan to, help students make this transition, because it's a big game changer that we are seeing right now. And from, all of us who are parents today, we come from a different era, different thinking. We all need to change our ways of thinking. So a question now to Hitaishi. As a student in the fashion designing space, and you've just entered that fashion designing
Yes.
portal. Okay, so what are your expectations from your institution, and what do you foresee in the industry? Like, what is it that you are looking at?
Okay, so firstly, good morning to everyone that's present here. I would like to start by saying, definitely as a student, I think we mainly expect a more vast syllabus in terms of, the developments in the digital and technological fields. And another point I would like to point out that Mr. Bharati Dasan mentioned before me is that a more global perspective while learning about fashion, because I think it's extremely important for us to know more about not just the theoretical and practical syllabus that we have. It is important, definitely, but I think it's also so important to introduce students from the start to the entire industry, not just restricted to your country or your area, because now brands are so global and everybody's getting into brands that are, head office here, head office there. So I think it's really important to know how the brand DNA is, how it works, because that gives us a much better insight, and it also lets us it puts us in a headspace that's ready to take on any kind of brand, whether it's luxury or fast fashion, it puts us in a proper headspace. We know that, okay, this is what they're looking at. We know what their customer target is. And I think that's really important that's something I feel we need to learn. And then secondly is, of course, more digital fluency that needs to be taught to us. Of course, there's already so much, development in teaching us about Photoshop and Illustrator and everything else. I think there should be more importance for us in terms of digital marketing, web design, because now I believe at one point or the other, everything is going to go online, and it's so important to be able to sit at home and, like, when you're not finding a job or not finding something to do, it's so important to just take it up on yourself and be able to do everything to at least get you started, to put you in some place. So it's so important to just be able to say, okay, now I'm going to start a business. So what do I need to do? I need to know how to open a website. I need to know how to call in a model, make my clothes, put it on a model. Content creation. Content creation is so important. Write about it. Make the pictures, make the videos. Because Gen Z, I'm from Gen Z, so I can say this, I can very safely say that we rely almost 100% on digital or social media. So everything is on social media. We're even too lazy to click on a website these days. So even on social media, if you say click here to shop this, we're most likely going to scroll past it. Unless there's like a really engaging video, a really engaging picture that's really pulling us to it, that's the only time we show real interest. We're so used to just swiping, just sliding through everything. So I think that is something that we really need to focus on as students, because I do think that there was already a shift onto more digital platforms. Shopping went digital even before the pandemic. I think there was already a shift, but now I feel that the whole industry was almost forced to, go 3 times faster once the pandemic started, because everything just shut down and everything's online. So even fashion magazines, they've been doing FaceTime photo shoots with their models because they can't be in the places where they're supposed to be. So that there are pretty sudden changes. And I think, having digital fluency is so important, because when I joined college, I saw that there are people from such varied backgrounds, and not everybody is equipped with the same skill from the start. We usually expect everybody to know how to do at least this or that, but not everybody does. So I feel a little bit more, teaching in terms of digital fluency should be present. And another thing I wanted to touch upon, which was mentioned, was soft skills. So I believe soft skills like emotional intelligence and team player attitude and other things, they're things that will be formed in a person at one point or the other in the fashion industry, because I think the fashion industry is so competitive and requires such a large team player attitude. So I think those are things you learn with more time, basically. What I mainly would like as a student, and I know that other students would like to see as well, is more communication related soft skill improvement, because a lot of people, not everybody comes with good communication skills or the confidence to communicate rather. So I think training students to be more confident in themselves, to be able to speak, because again, digital, everything's going digital. So the only way we can communicate with a person is through a screen, and not everybody is always confident enough to come on a screen and say, okay, this is my idea and this is how I'm going to explain it clearly. So there needs to be a way in which we are given more focus, where there's more focus on how to communicate ideas through a digital platform. So already I think CAD, computer aided design, is such an amazing way for the current generations to be able to put their ideas into 2D, 3D forms and communicate it. So I think just improving on that will be greatly important. And I do see a lot of, I wouldn't say people are going to take up self-employment, definitely, but I do see an increase in self-employment, because there are job cuts right now and people still need to make their way. And I'm already seeing with people my age, there are so many friends of mine who are already starting out their businesses, whether it's a baking business or it's making soaps, or it could be anything. People are already starting off on their own because it is so easy. You can just make your product, take a few good pictures, put it on, and then that's your business. So yes, I definitely do see an increase in self-employment, and I really encourage it. So yeah, so that's about what I had to say. Thank you.
Okay. So, Dr. Yatindra, will you take this question from Hitaishi? You're on mute.
Yeah, I'll be quite eager to take that question, because
Yeah.
if you're looking at those orthodox jobs where you'll go and become one more labor in the industry, yes, the industry is doing, but the industry itself is uncertain.
Yes.
What you need, what the industry needs is somebody who wants to be ahead of them, somebody who will be able to give them directions into the next 5-10 years. So they're looking at big time dreamers rather than people understanding the outdated softwares and all those skills. You don't need to learn everything. You can't wear multiple hats. There are expertise which is available. You need to collaborate and you need to be good at some particular thing, maybe the design aspect or translation of dreams into tangible products. Be good at what you are and then collaborate with other available resources and then be the game changer. You need to be ahead of the industry. Tell the industry how do they do, what do they do to survive for the next decade. That is what people are looking. If you're looking at becoming one more labor in the existing manufacturing setup, go there. I think by the time you graduate, maybe a couple of years or 4 years down the lane, you will be outdated. And they're not looking at cheap labor anymore because things are getting changed. You don't find labor, then the next solution, what they're adopting is the automation. Automation will change and these trivial old orthodox jobs will get washed away anyways. So they're looking at big time dreamers. I think one should learn how to dream big and change the game for the industry. Rather than following industry dictated curriculum, you should be one step or two steps ahead of them and say, industry, what are you guys doing? If you don't follow me or if you don't come back to us to get into the fresh young blood will give the new designs. If you don't come up to us, you're not going to survive in the industry. So the big brands can change, disappear in a couple of days.
Yeah.
I
That's
guess I've
very
answered.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true. And also, Hitaishi, talking about more exposure on global brands, I think students also have to do a lot of self-study, understand the various global brands, do a lot of, market research. When things open up, it's great to walk into these stores and actually see what is available. Do a touch and feel. That's not totally gone off, though we are in certain circumstances. But I think, each one has to do a lot of self-study as well,
Yeah.
especially
I also,
before you
yeah.
enter before you enter the industry. You definitely need to have a perspective of global brands. And
I'll also share, madam, 1 second,
yes,
sorry. Uh, I'll also share how teaching has changed. Like I am doing a big time, one of the project for one of the major industries. And this work is happening in my studio. Earlier, I used to have a classroom setup where 30 people sit and then I used to teach on the board and things like that. Now, the project is going on. I'm designing a collection for them and there are materials available. Now, the students are around me in my studio helping me how to design this jewelry collection for one of those big brands. They're involved in understanding the brand. They're involved in understanding the sourcing of material. They're involved in the artistic process of how do I sketch and then how do I translate that into spec sheets and technical drawings. They're involved in the karigari, where I get one of the best karigars to co-create. It's not just I'm doing it alone. There is a team which is doing that, and students join in my studio to learn this. And the space of learning is changed and challenged.
so when you say students are in your studio, you're talking about virtually, or they are physically in your studio?
Physically, we used to do that. Now we are doing, we are trying to collaborate on online spaces to create
Okay.
that solution. Of course, the tactileness is missing,
Yeah,
but the
I
learning
appreciate
method,
it.
the pedagogy is changed.
Okay, okay, okay.
And softwares keep coming and going. Today we are using one software. Tomorrow, the very next day, there's a young one of my graduates come back with an iPad and say, "Why are you downloading that software which is so expensive? Here is my 600 rupees jewelry designing software on my iPad. I just paid for 1 day's use and then I don't use it for the rest of the day." So
Yeah.
business models have changed. The softwares keep changing,
Yes, yes.
and the adaptability is quicker in the younger generation.
Right, right. So, Bharti, a question for you. What do you think would be the new career opportunities and focus areas in this new normal?
Yeah, I think that's what we spoke, right? Whatever the areas that I mentioned, I mean, the skill set areas that are required, in all these areas, we have got good job opportunity. See, CAD, virtual reality software applications, artificial intelligence, data science, web page design, digital marketing. These are some of the areas which are allied with our fashion industry, apparel industry, and there is a good scope for the students. I mean, I'm talking about the new areas other than our regular fashion design or merchandising or production or industrial engineering, work study, method study, documentation, shipping, purchase. These are the regular jobs that we have today in apparel industry, and these areas will be additional areas for near future, right? Uh, so I hope that answers. I mean, all the skill sets that we spoke are towards a particular area.
Yes, I think, even what Bharti said earlier, that today, because we have so many Indian labels and Indian brands, there's a lot of scope for designing as well.
Yeah.
Earlier, yeah, we were just buying houses, exporters, where we would just copy a design, we would mass produce, and we would ship it out. But today, there's great scope for designers. There's a lot of, like Dr. Yatindra said, there's lots of fast fashion also happening. So, where we were talking about just 2 seasons in a year, now we're talking about maybe 4 seasons in a year. So there's a lot more that, a lot more opportunities in the designing field. And of course, automation comes with it. No more can we go back to our very conventional methods. We have to stay on top of that. Um, there's a lot of, there are lots of opportunities in the data analytics side of the business as well, because today all businesses rely on analytics. No more is it just a gut feel. That has just come down quite a bit. But most businesses, I've worked with a whole lot of businesses in the fashion industry, and most of us rely on analytics because it's very different. I mean, what sells on Brigade Road may not sell in Jayanagar, right? So we need to do a lot of analytics before we arrive at our product mix. And so there are opportunities there as well. Inventory management is a huge opportunity there also in the fashion and technology space. And of course, marketing and promotion. So marketing, again, a lot of digitization happening there. More and more marketing happening on online sales, and your mobile phones have become such an important gadget that we all rely on. So one last question for Dr. Yatindra, that if education should be the starting point of change, how should it be redefined now?
Yeah, see, I said the whole pedagogy is changing. The pedagogy, the way the conventional learning was, I'm not saying that was wrong. That was relevant at that point of time. That was an absolute necessary at that point of time because the country was in that position. Now people are changing. Like I'm telling you, people are looking at new different areas where even we never dreamt of. Like earlier, we were looking at the cotton as natural. Now people have gone beyond it. People have gone into researching of understanding how could tulsi fibers help in wearing a shirt. How could there be a self-healing shirt where if there are small cuts and wounds, it can do it? How could haldi as a color of the shirt or a garment can help people in making them more healthier? They're really not conscious about the earlier body shaming and all those things. You saw that era which came in and people were slim, and then they said it's okay to be whatever you are, and then that's okay with us. People are accepting the way you are. All that they're looking at fashion, the basic meaning of fashion and luxury space itself is changing. So here the trends are different, the expectations are different. So similarly, the learning is also different. How do you cater to a special segment which is not existing anymore? How do you even spot an opportunity which is not seen by anyone else? So how, as an educational institution, it is essential for us to look at these spots and then tell them how did we do or how are we doing. And it is not that one side way of teaching, like I'm teaching and they're listening. It's not like that anymore. They're actually co-learning. I also involve one of the best karyagars. I also involve one of the best weaver community. I get them here to weave one of those hibiscus fiber into that garment. There is a weaving which is happening. He is expert there. I don't need to replace him. I need to collaborate with him. And then there are material specialists who understand what is the tactileness, what is the feature, what is the luster, all those technical specifications. I collaborate with them. And there is a designer who understands the pattern of color, the emotions, the sensations, and then how styling should be there, how draping will happen. All those things come together, and then there is a learning which happens. And of course, everyone gets a win-win situation. So these are the things which we are trying to do it. And across the world, the best of the universities are trying to do that. They're setting up labs. I would not call it as just a studio or a lab. I would call it as a lab of tactileness, where everybody puts their hand, art and soul and put all their sense organs, and then we work on it. So educational spaces are challenged. Only people who are smart enough and then who have, and then other earlier style of teaching where I used to have 100 students in my class doesn't work anymore. And the institutions are also not giving them free of cost. The expenses of tuition fees are very high. It takes a lot of money. Parents are also thinking, why am I blowing up so much of money when my kid is learning I'm spending about $20,000 to make them understand a 4 years degree pattern. After coming out, then they completely abandon that and start some cooking. If at all they were doing cooking, why did they do that? And why did they invest so much of money in doing that? So the fees which we are charging, the fees the institutions are charging is also high. Might as well create value for the money which they're taking. Not only creating the value, and parents, while blowing up that money, are also very conscious, saying that, is it really worth that doing that? Yeah, so things are changing. I think another 5 years, we're going to see a lot of changes which is going to happen. And fortunately, India is running faster in this space, because people are coming back to yoga, people are coming back to natural fiber, people are working with natural things, people are okay with the way the body exists, people are okay with whatever spaces they are working, whether it is home or their farms. People are reconnecting with the farmlands and soils, organic farming, all those things are happening. So we are the ones who are leading the entire industry. I think we should be smart enough to catch that space.
So, Dr. Yatindra, what about all our artisans? We have so many artisans across India. Have they also been, rebooting, and have they also kind of come up with new ideas? Are we helping them from an institutional point of view?
Yes, the exports have completely, almost like 50% have stopped. So they're having a fantastic skill set. Their understanding of the medium by way of looking at and touching that itself is fantastic, and they have that fine, precise hand to do one of those big jobs. So as an institution, we are working on this pedagogy where we co-create. We do not want them to be replaced, because they are carrying a certain heritage. When we say our country is incredible, we call it Incredible India. That incredibleness lies with the hands of these people. So we are not trying to replace them. We are trying to help or educate designers who become enablers for them, who actually sit with them, enable them to do world-class business. to take them to a next level. Maybe they're good at doing what they are doing, but they would not be aware of what to be doing. Like what products. These come from the designers who understand the customers and translate their emotions and then aspirations into designs and then give it to them. And these master craftsmen produce the best of them. And each piece will be one of those best pieces which could be kept in the museums.
Totally
And
agree.
the numbers are changed. Earlier, they used to produce a lakh of pieces. Now we can't produce a lakh of pieces. You can only produce 10 pieces, which is keeping for at least a couple of decades. Every
Right.
garment, the shelf life value of every garment is increasing.
Right. We have one more question.
Yes,
What are
ma'am.
the key roles and opportunities for youth in fashion design? So can you take that, Dr.
Yes,
Yatindra?
yes, ma'am. The first ingredient which a designer needs is to dream. And then the second thing is, dream is something which is intangible, whether it could be in terms of color, whether in terms of shape or whatever it is. How do you have the connection between your hand and mind? Your mind is dreaming, your hand is executing. How do you translate your dreams into hand and then hands using different medium, whether you're using a paintbrush or a pencil or a pen, or it could be a thread, it could be a fabric. How do you translate your dreams into reality? So understanding the color, understanding the minds of the people, understanding the moods of the people, understanding the expectations of the people, at the same time, understanding certain attitudes of the younger people. Like, for example, they do not want to wash any fabric. They want to wear it for a month, but at the same time, it should not stink.
Okay.
So they don't want to iron the clothes anymore. They say, why should I iron? Why am I wasting so much of electrical energy? I don't need that. Let it be. I'm going to be like this. So isn't it a challenge? The material scientist has to take that without ironing. How do I make my shirts look fresher every time the person wears? How does I design a shirt where there is no stain which retains onto the garment? It just put one water and then it goes away everything. Or why am I using so much of water to clean that? Are there any alternate methods to clean my garment?
Right, right.
So these aspirations of young people will drive the real world crazy. All the scientists will start reinventing themselves.
I'm sure, I'm sure.
Like the way Mac did. The Mac said when they wanted to produce a Mac iPhone or a computer laptop, they said that if you're not able to, they went to the manufacturer. Manufacturer had 101 constraints saying that my machine can't do this or I can't do this. So simply the designer said, if you can't do it, then let's find a new machine or a new vendor who can do this. So you
Right.
don't have to compromise on what your designs are rather than the question the existing methods of manufacturing.
Yeah.
So there will be a player who will say, yes, I can do whatever you want.
Right.
And that will be again a young person with very, very little resources on infrastructure.
Right. So one last question, because we're running out of time. Are there enough institutes and universities aligned with industry requirements and skills?
Madam, there are about 200 design institutes in India
Okay.
itself and across the world, but all these institutions are recalibrating themselves.
Right.
The only ones who are connected with the real world will survive.
You're right.
There
right.
are institutions like Minerva in the University of Texas. University of Texas is a very old, 100-year-old institution which charge a lot of money for doing a master's program there.
Yes.
Similarly, there are universities which are called Minerva, who are
Right.
saying that we give you the world class and things like that. They are challenged. Coursera's are there. New platforms are coming up where you get the best of the professor across the world and then they talk to you. Coursera's are there, online education are there, and there you're not mandatory to blow up all the money to learn certain things. You pay only for what you want.
Right.
So there is an
right.
on-demand learning which can happen.
Right.
And
right.
institutions are opening up labs where you can go there and work for certain things and come back.
Okay.
And it is not the model of paying the fees and working there. You also pay certain fees for whatever people are involving there. And you also earn because you're working on some kind of an industry challenge which is out there, which nobody knows the answer yet.
Right. Okay, we have one more last question, sorry. Biorhythms run our lives and are inherent in our DNA. Can the clothes we wear be made biorhythm enabled? Will this improve wellness, reduce road and workplace accidents?
Ma'am, we have solutions in nature. Every solution is already there, just that we are not aware. So people are discovering solutions. Like I said, people are looking at earlier, the first step was you got those tulsi seeds coming in paper. Now
Right.
tulsi fiber is going there. It is not just the material, it is also the way it looks. Like we have a lotus leaf. It cannot take it cannot, you can't, it will not absorb a drop of water. Even for a year, the drop stays like that without getting into it. So there is a technique like waterproof, which is already available and as thin as one can imagine.
Right.
And the
Right.
structures, it can spread about about 2 to 3 meters wide, but still it floats. The
Wow.
technology is already available in the nature. Just that how much we discover, how much we start using them in our applications, and how sustainable we are, how much garbage we produce. All those things are questioned. So nature doesn't produce any garbage. Everything is useful there. So we
But
are, I think,
these,
slowly or ahead, we are going there. Yeah.
so these fabrics can be produced in bulk, is it? With
Yeah.
these kind of
Yes.
organic substances.
Yes, madam. Yeah, there are pros and cons both the sides to it. Like the moment, like in one of those sites in Hampi where we started producing banana fiber, using banana fiber for
Yes.
making bags, there was an ecological imbalance because the entire region farmers, because of the demand, farmers started growing banana. So there is an ecological imbalance which happened. So the consumption pattern is also reduced appropriately so that there is not much pressure put on these people. So that balance will automatically has to be maintained. Maybe that is something with the government where the regulations and restrictions will be imposed upon. But anything
Right.
in excess will actually have some other effect. Like banana fiber was natural, good bags. Swedish market was fantastic. People are exporting to Sweden and all the Austria and other places. But here locally, because of the demand, farmers started growing more banana. The consumption of water pattern changed. The Tungabhadra Dam dried up. Things are
Okay.
complicated. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it will get sorted on its own. The moment there will be legislations or regulations which will be imposed by the government the moment they see certain things going out of the way.
Right, right. So thank you very much, Bharti Dasan, Dr. Yatindra and Haitashi. Thank you very, very much for being with us on this panel. And I hope our audience really, understood a lot of stuff.